Hello，云同桌们，大家好，我是月明。我们今天来继续92版原始释放法课程的第一课 Study with me。接下来海尔开始介绍释放法的经典3问句，这个是我们在做情绪释放时候需要反复用到的。不管你是要用几百遍、几千遍还是几万遍，我们都一直要用到熟练为止。这里海尔已经在开始介绍这个问题设计出来的目的是什么？目的它其实就是引导我们去做释放，并且能够让我们体验到释放是怎么一回事儿。当我们做的越来越多、越来越熟练了之后呢，就像之前风所说过的，释放就会像呼吸一样自然，它会不知不觉的就已经完成了。那么这个时候，你当然也就不再需要使用这个问句来反复引导了。并且呢，关于3问句的回答是一定要诚实的遵循当下那一刹那的直觉，也就是自己最真实的感受。
Questions will make a lot more sense as you practice them. What the questions are designed to do is give you an experience of letting go. And they don't have to make sense at first. In fact, they might not. But if you're willing to keep practicing the questions and keep working with them, you'll see that they'll start to more and more facilitate that process of letting go. And another thing about questions, if you have questions come up as you're sitting here or as you're sitting at home, you notice that we handle questions very differently during this course. If I just gave you an intellectual answer to every question that you had, I think you can see that you'd end up with lots of more information, but not necessarily.
这里又讲到一个非常重要的事情，那就是在整个学习的过程中，我们难免会有各种各样的疑惑。比如说我自己在不同的平台也会收到非常非常多的提问，有时候可能有同学会一次性一口气提5、6个问题，写很长很长一段。但就像海尔在这里所说的，我们之所以会提问，那是一定背后有一个情绪在推动我们去做这件事情。所以在前一节课所说的一切都是围绕着你的感觉中心来进行。那么这个时候你要做的就是去感受一下你这个问题背后的感受是什么。比如说有些人他提问会非常渴望立马得到别人的回答，就是会很着急，我现在的问题一直没有解决怎么办？很想要知道答案。那不妨去感受一下这个问题的背后是不是有贪求的情绪在。当你去释放了这个贪求的情绪之后，你自然而然心中会有一个答案告诉你自己。所以海尔在这边也说了，答案一直都在你自己的心里。如果只是让别人来投喂你一个答案的话，其实那都是属于心智思考的范围，并不能够对你去做释放或者熟练释放真的有多大的帮助。这一小段话也是很多人在看这个课程的时候特别容易忽略掉的一个非常重要的关键点。
Necessarily with a way to find your own answers. And what we like to do here, and what we're trying to do on this whole 4-day course and this whole 8 segments of the tape, is get each one of you to the point where whenever you have a question, whether it's about this releasing process or anything in your life, that you can find your own answers. Once you've learned how to find your own answers, that's always with you. So if you have a question, please ask it. However, I might answer it with a question. What I mean by that is if you have a question, I'll probably try to help you find what the feeling is that's causing you to ask that question. Once you release it, you'll see you'll start to find your own answers. And you at home, if questions come up, try the same thing. Try using the process on the question itself, and you'll see that you'll start to find your own answers. Also, as far as participating is concerned, it's very important to participate. The more you participate, the more you'll get out of the class. Now, there are many ways to participate. If you're here actually in the class, if you volunteer to work with the instructor, you'll get benefit out of that. But there are many other ways to participate. One is very important, both those of you here and those of you at home, to do your best to practice the releasing process as others are being guided through the process. What I mean by that is, even if their problem is not something you can relate to right away, just focus on what your feeling is in the moment. And as they're being guided through the process, Just allow yourself to release.
这边说到，在我们一边观看课程的时候，虽然他们的问题和我们不一样，但我们也要根据这个指导员的提问，也和他们一起去做这个释放。他们有他们的问题，那我们就关注我们自己的问题，然后一边听指导员的这个引导的问句，一起就跟着课程里的学生去释放自己的感受。所以这也是为什么我说这个全8节的课程是可以反反复复观看无数次的。
Along with them. The more you do that, the more you'll get out of the class. And that practicing on your own is how you make this whole technique your own. Now, another important way of participating for those of you here and those of you at home is working in the workbooks. We're going to emphasize that point a lot because if the more you work with the workbooks, work with each release sheet, take as much time as you need to work with them, the more you'll get out of this class. In fact, the workbooks, working with
那么关于 workbook， 也就是工作簿，这个应该很多同学都已经有它的电子档了，因为网上应该也有很多人在分享。关于这个工作簿还有情绪表，我在这里还是想再次强调，一定要打印出来手写，这个效果上的差别是非常巨大的。
those release sheets is the key to really learning the release technique in a way that will be yours for the rest of your life. So it's very important to participate in that way. Do your best to work in the workbooks and keep working in the workbooks until you've completed them. Also, this is a do-it-yourself technique. What I mean by that is I think you can see already from the way I've described it, you're really going to have to do it. All we are here to do, Nikki and I, is to facilitate the process that once started will be then something that you can do on your own. So it is a do-it-yourself technique. And again, that's something I'll remind you about quite often as the course goes on. Because our goal by the end of the 4 days of this class and by the end of the 8 tapes is to make you 100% self-sufficient. So that if you never see anyone from the Sedona Institute again, if you never look at another tape, you have that technique inside for you to use from then on. It's yours 100%, and that's very important to us. We want to make you 100% self-sufficient. Also, I'd like to suggest that you leave your preconceived notions behind. Many of you have heard many things about this course, or you've got a flyer in the mail, or you heard about it on television. But however you found out about the course, you probably have expectations based on what you heard and also based on other classes you may have done before.
这里提到要大家抛开一些先入为主的想法。那就是因为目前大家应该也有看过很多其他的一些大师的教导，包括像我自己就是这个悉达多的流派的弟子，对吧？虽然说不同的大师他所教给你们的这些方法技巧，最后所要走到的终点都是一样的，但是呢，因为所选择的方法不一样，所走的这个路是不一样的。所以非常建议大家是一门深入，千万不要把其他的门派的概念混淆进来。其实你在学习其他系统的时候，我也会建议你这么做，然后也不要用其他的方法添加到这个释放法里面。网上很多小伙伴说他们会一边学习释放法，然后每天狂 A 什么500遍那种肯定句啊什么的。这个之前我有在学习方法技巧的视频里面有说过，同时骑2匹马并不会让你走得更快。
As best you can, put those aside. It's kind of like if someone told you to go see a terrific movie and they made the mistake of telling you a lot about the plot. What's the first thing you do when the lights go down in the theater? You try to forget everything you've heard about it. So you can just be there in the moment and experience the course moment to moment. If you're willing to do that with these tapes and here in the class, you'll see you'll get a tremendous amount out of the course. So whatever you've heard about it, whatever you've ever done to grow, put that aside for now and just be here with what we're doing. So again, you're really in for a treat. These 4 days and the 8 segments of these tapes are going to give you a lot more than you can even imagine at this point. Now, those of you at home and also those of you here, please turn in your workbook to the page that says
这边已经开始了 workbook 工作簿上的第一个练习了，那就是我想从这个课程中学到什么。这边希望大家能够已经有一份打印好的 workbook 摆在手边，现在我们就可以把自己的这个想法开始写起来。
What would I like to get from this course?
那么写好了之后，我们就真的要开始第一次做这个释放了。
Now, before you take some time to fill it out, I just want to say a couple of things about it. Make this a wish list of anything you could possibly change or improve in your life. It might be hard to imagine how 4 days of a class or 8 segments of a videotape could really change all the things in your life that you're wanting to change. But believe me, this technique is a lot more powerful than you can possibly imagine right now. The benefits that you will achieve will far outstrip all your expectations. Plus, it's a technique that will be with you for the rest of your life. So once you start applying it, you'll continue to see benefits. So write down anything that you could possibly want to change or improve in your life, and then we'll move on. What we're going to do now is just talk a little bit about
这里
the
开始
chart
讲
of
重中
emotion.
之重，也
And
就
again,
是
if
情绪
you
表的介
make
绍。
sure you have it out here and also at home. Now, this chart is an objectification of your subconscious mind. What I mean by that is as you work with this chart, you'll see there's very little that you experience every day that can't fit into one of these categories. Every feeling that we have, you'll find will fit into one of these categories. And now the reason they're in categories is it really helps. Very often when we think of our subconscious, it's almost like our junk drawer. You know, you don't even want to look at it because you've got so many things thrown in there, all jumbled up together. But if you think about your junk drawer again, or I don't know, some people have a junk drawer, they have a junk room, a junk garage. You know, we tend to collect things. Well, we do the same thing with our subconscious. We hold on to a lot of things from the past, and they manifest consciously as our feelings, and they push us around a lot. But most of us don't want to look at our subconscious because of the fact that it's all kind of jumbled up together. Now, one of the purposes of this chart is to help you sort it all out. If you again think of your junk room or junk drawer, if you imagine what would happen if everything was categorized and put in little boxes, you would occasionally look for something in there instead of saying, forget it, I'll just buy a new one. I'm not going to look for it. Well, when you have your mind, your subconscious mind, a little better organized like this, and the way your feelings work a little better organized like this, it demystifies them. It makes it easier for you to just become aware of what you're feeling in the moment and be able to start to know what to do with it. Now, if you notice, there are many categories. There's apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, courageousness, acceptance, and peace. And there are many feelings underneath each one. And what we'll be doing throughout this class is you'll start by getting in touch with whatever feeling you're aware of in the moment. And if it isn't necessarily a grief or an apathy, if you're not aware of it like that, what you'll do is you'll trace it back up to the emotional category.
这里我们看到情绪表下面有9大情绪分类，前面6个是情绪能量相对比较负面比较低的，后面3个是情绪能量比较高的，也是我们希望平时更多能够处在的状态。我们一般用它的首字母来简单的概括，一般我们说 AGFLAP， 也就是前面6个负面情绪能量的一个简称，那么后面无畏、接纳、平静简称为 CAP。在这个表格的最下面所罗列出来的情绪，都是我们平时最常发生的，也最容易识别的一些情况。就像海尔所说，我们在释放法的过程中要做的就是从下面先去定位到你的情绪，然后再上述到9大情绪中的分类，然后我们要释放的是这个其中一个情绪的大类。另外，整理出来9大情绪分类的目的，也是为了方便我们平时在感受非常杂乱的时候，也能够很好的 理清楚。这就像在整理冰箱的时候，我们会把冰箱里的肉类啊、蔬菜啊去把它分门别类，这样的话冰箱里所有的东西都会摆得更加整齐、井井有条。那么情绪表去做这样9大情绪的分类的目的也是这样子，都是为了帮助你在当下可能处在一个非常杂乱的状态里，也能够很好的识别出感受最强烈的那个情绪，并一一去做释放。
Now, the reason we do that is that every time you let go of a little bit of grief, you're letting go of all of these feelings underneath it. So it's much more powerful to let go of grief than to let go of hurt, for instance. So when you trace them back, each feeling back to the underlying feeling, the underlying emotional category, and let go of that,
我们常用的一个例子就是把下面罗列出来的这些情绪呢，比喻成树上的树叶。如果我们只是一个一个树叶去修剪的话，效率会很低，也要花很长的时间。所以当我们去直接释放情绪大类的时候，就相当于是直接把这个树干给直接剪掉。
you'll see you move a lot quicker. Also, this chart is organized as a scale of action. In apathy, I think you can see if you're feeling apathetic, you're not going to get very much done at all. In fact, you probably just want to stay in bed all day, and you probably even have had days like that or know people who have. Whereas as you move up, you have even, I bet you never thought of grief as being up from anywhere. But grief has a little more energy than apathy, and so on. As you move up this scale, by the time you get into the courageousness, acceptance, and peace, you have a tremendous amount of energy to accomplish positive things. And every time you use the technique, you'll see as you completely let go of any emotion, you'll find you have a tendency to move in this direction. You'll have a tendency to feel better and better. You'll basically, it's interesting, the chart's organized this way, but it's kind of like this. All of these emotions are covering over our courageousness, acceptance, and peace.
这个点也是大家在看课程的时候很容易忽略掉的。他把纸张这样竖着摆开来跟大家看，是在跟大家解释，我们每释放最上面这一层，平时我们更多的去体验的这些负面情绪，那么也就意味着下面越来越高的这些能量层级的情绪会更加容易浮现出来。也就是说，我们把最上面的这层乌云慢慢剥去之后，那么越来越多的无畏、接纳、平静也就会更加容易显现出来。最终我们会在大多数的时候都会处在 CAP 的状态。这里我也可以先提前说一下，到后面我们在讲3大欲望的时候也是这样，我们把想要控制释放的越来越多的时候，那么想要被认同和想要安全也会越来越多的浮现出来。
So as you release your apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, and pride, you'll start uncovering your courageousness, acceptance, and peace. Imagine what that's going to be like, to uncover all your courageousness, acceptance, and peace. It's going to make a tremendous difference in your life. And we're also going to do something radical by tomorrow. We're even going to start letting go of them. And the reason we do that is that the goal of this course is to help you achieve a state of imperturbability. It's a hard word to say. It's a long word. But the reason we use it is it has a lot of meaning. Imperturbability is a state where no one or no thing can disturb you ever again. Now imagine that. Imagine even as you can see, the world is in a state of crisis right now. And you may even be experiencing your own personal crises at home or at work. But imagine what it would be like to be imperturbable right in the middle of that situation. It's absolutely wonderful to be able to be unshakable even if things are not going your way. And an imperturbable state is not boring. It can be absolutely ecstatic. So as you keep working with the technique that you'll be learning over the next 4 days and next 8 segments of this tape, you'll learn everything you need to reach that top state of imperturbability. And it will be yours from then on. So I think that we said enough about the chart. Now remember to leave it out in front of you. And whenever you need to get a little assistance of getting in touch with what you're feeling in the moment, you can use this chart. In fact, you can just read through this chart, maybe when you're at home or while you're on a break from watching the tapes, and you'll see it will help you get in touch with your feelings a lot more, and you'll be able to do a lot more releasing. So remember to leave it out in front of you. Now I'm going to have Nikki come back up again, and we'll go over another important thing that we'll be working